Joining us from London is Dr. Ahu Kucuksefahani, a scholar in international relations. Hello to you. Thank you for speaking to Paris Direct. We are now into the second week of this blackout, so it's hard to make head from tails about where things stand in Iran. But what do you understand so far?
Yes, so we are, as you say, approaching actually the third week of protests now, which started on the 28th of December 2025. But also we're unprecedentedly so on day 8 of a complete internet blackout. So it's, as you say, very hard to gauge what is happening on the ground, but from the footage that is sent from people who are connected to Starlink devices, we see the brutality of the security forces cracking down harsher than in any previous protest movement.
Yeah, and Iran seems to think it has regained control because of that harsh crackdown. What do you think happens next?
Well, it's hard to tell, as I said, but the Islamic Republic essentially tries to portray this image of security and stability, and ultimately force, right, as a sort of way to show to the world that it has full control over the population. However, the grievances of the population have not gone away. And so, as we've also seen throughout the current, like the history of protest movements inside Iran, the span between each movement is increasingly shorter. And so, even if the current wave of protests might be suppressed for now, we really don't know. But even if that were the case, this doesn't mean that future protests in a much shorter span of time will not sort of uh, start again.
Yeah, and as you say, the grievances haven't gone away. Could reforms possibly be down the pipeline if the regime does regain control? Is there any way for this regime to address any of those protesters' grievances?
At this point, it feels too far-fetched. Estimates from human rights organizations working from outside of Iran are trying very hard to gain the number of deaths, which have skyrocketed over the past week. And so, if you have a government that's willing to kill its own people so drastically, how can you really expected to bring about reforms, right? I mean, there was a time for that, but it's completely past.
And in terms of international intervention, Donald Trump had promised protesters help was on the way. Then he seemed to go back on that position. What do you make of the rationale in Washington, and where do Iranian people stand in terms to a possible intervention from the United States?
Yeah, I mean, from the perspective of the U.S., I can't talk on, Washington's stance, of course, but from the perspective of Iranians looking towards Washington, they feel like, they were goaded into, going out on the streets a lot more. And Trump sort of, again, co opted the movement by saying, oh, we're behind you, we are going to help you. It really did give a false hope, a false promise to some Iranians. And so they are extremely, I would say, disappointed, of course, because he fell through with his promises. But on the other hand, it's absolutely not realistic to expect a strike or any sort of bombardment to come and save the people. What the international community must do right now to support the Iranian people is essentially to strive towards regaining internet access for Iranians inside the country. It also needs to, stop condemning with words, but rather act on these words at this point. So again, as I said, internet is the main sort of aim for Iranians to be able to reach a global audience. And then the international community must also downgrade its diplomatic ties with the Islamic Republic of Iran if it really seeks to support the protesters, to put pressure on the Islamic Republic, right? And also targeted sanctions on the representatives of the Islamic Republic, and not broad-based sanctions that have only ever and will ever continue to affect ordinary Iranians the most.
And Doctor, thank you so much for your time. Dr. Ahu Kucuksefahani joining us from London. Thank you.
Thank you.